Joining me now, Congresswoman Kwesi Mfume, Democrat of Maryland. Congressman, appreciate you being here as always. I have to start off with your reaction to that sound we played at the top. Sitting Republican Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville saying that Democrats want crime, that they want to take what Republican MAGA voters have presumably, so they say, can give reparations to those responsible for crime. Of course, Tuberville is not the first or only GOP politician to employ dog whistles connecting Democrats and black people to crime ahead of next month's elections. But you also have Senate races in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Republican candidates in both those races attacking Democrats over the issue. Some Democratic critics calling the attacks racist dog whistles, though in Tuberville's case, it's more like a scream. What should Democrats do in response, Congressman?
Well, Democrats should take note, first of all, that these are not things that periodically happen. It always happens right before a major national election. And his comments are about the most vicious, vile, repugnant, parochial, racist things that I've heard in a long, long time. This is how violence gets started against black people, as in the case in Buffalo, against Latinos, as in the case in Uvalde, and people who are simply worshiping, as in a Charlton church. Because people take that, the sick ones, and they figure that they've got to do something to extend the senator's philosophy. I would hope that every elected official on both sides of the aisle condemn that. He is a bigot, and until he says something different, he will always be seen as a bigot. But more importantly, there are a lot of black people in that state. In fact, a large number of black voters who are Democrats and Republicans who are outraged, I'm sure, at this as well. So, we see this. It's a playbook. It happens every time we get close to a national election. And in this instance, it has just simply gone too far. Black people have had it being the targets of crime and the targets of this and the targets of that. Every time there's a reason something is wrong, we're the ones that are responsible. And nobody's asking him to give a comment on reparations. Reparations were already voted on in the Congress in the 1880s or 1980s for Japanese Americans. It's not something new. Even the bill that's there just creates a commission to study and report back. So he's couched that in the framework of they want what you have, which is what he said. They want to take what you have, which is what he implied, and they will take it and turn you around, which is his summation. It's a bad race, a bad track to get on. I would hope people speak up, and I doubt very seriously if Tuberville will ever apologize.
And let's not be confused with the reparations that is now being moved into Congress by your colleague, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, talking about reparations for African Americans. He said that we were getting crime as reparations. So clearly, this is more than one can bear. But Congressman, going back to your former life as head of the NAACP, and I worked with you as head of National Action Network when you were there, which you championed the reform of marijuana laws, together with those of us in the civil rights community at the time, including reparative justice for communities harmed by the war on drugs. Now, I want to get your take on President Biden federally pardoning thousands of Americans incarcerated for simple marijuana possession and calling on the Departments of Justice and Health and Human Services, respectively, to review marijuana federal drug classification. What do you want to see happen next?
Well, I think people have to couch it in the right terms and to know that marijuana usage is similar, whether you are an African-American, Latino, white American, or anything else. There's no disparate use because of certain group that you're in that's racial. This situation has gone on for a long time. As you know, most of the states in the nation are moving toward decriminalizing marijuana. I think the president is doing where we are today. He's doing where states are in terms of taking a look at this and realizing that it's a health issue more than anything else, decriminalizing it to get rid of the crime and making sure that people have a chance to be able to apply for a job, be able to get employment, get an education, find themselves as a productive member of society again without being tainted by this curse of a sentence as a result of marijuana possession or marijuana usage. So he, in my opinion, is doing the right thing at the right time. He's following the states in this regard. And the whole issue of marijuana is something that the country is going to deal with, whether he deals with it or not. So I applaud his efforts in that regard.
Quickly, we're out of time, Congressman, but I want to make sure we have time to hear about this bill you and Maryland Democratic Senator Ben Cardin introduced last month to create a National Council of African American History and Culture. What does it entail, and what are you trying to push back against that's happening in red state classrooms right now?
Well, what we're trying to push back against is this notion that critical race theory is taking over our schools and destroying our kids and making some of them feel guilty. The fact that books are being removed from libraries every day, and the fact that a lot of teaching now has been conformed so that the teaching of American history does not include the contributions or the work of particularly African Americans is moving at a rapid rate. So this bill creates within the National Endowment of the Humanities and Arts an opportunity for us to create a 12-member commission designed to study and to report back on African American history and culture since the beginning of the nation. We think it's the right thing to do. Many teachers have applauded us on this, and Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland and myself have put forward that legislation.
All right, Congressman Kwesi Mfume, thank you for joining us again. Joining me now